walks away after winning his 100th game as the head coach here at Notre Dame.
The reason I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I was born in this country. It isn't what you have, it's what you're taught about the values of life.
We trying to save souls.
So there's a rule in life that you're either growing or you're dying.
And like an old friend once said, we as Americans need to start winning again.
Everyone should ask this question. Am I willing to endure the pain and the suffering and the sacrifice it takes to be a champion?
Greetings and welcome to the Lou Holtz podcast. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, white, black, yellow, or any color in between. We hope that you'll find this podcast very informative and interesting. There are far more qualified people to do a podcast than me. I'm not a professional, but there's nobody that does one who feels very strong about this cause as I do. And what we're talking about, the culture of this country. I don't care if you're a business, a football team, or a country. The culture of the country determines how much success you're going to have and whether it's a great country or not. I look back and I've thought about writing a book titled Things That Have Changed and Freedoms I've Lost since I was a young man in this country. But I think the whole thing about the culture is how do we develop it? And here's why I think our culture has changed so dramatically. We've had millions of immigrants come in. I'm not against immigration, but come here legally, but more importantly, come here to become us. Don't come here and ask me to become you. And so develop our culture, follow into it. I think our culture basically falls into three different areas. Area number one is just do what's right. And to do what's right, you obey the rules and the laws and the regulations of the country. That's why we're a country of laws. And when you come here, you have to adhere to it. You don't like the laws? Then change the people that make the laws by voting. The second thing, do everything the very best of your ability. What makes a country great is when everybody wants to be the very best they can be. Not everybody can be All-American, not everybody be first team, but everybody can be the best they're capable of being. Not everybody can be an A student. You can be the best you're capable of being, and that starts in grade school. In the elementary school, you learn to do the very best you can, not compare yourself with anybody else, but to look and say, what am I capable of doing? And the third part of this culture is you care about one another. You reach out and you take care. You're never going to meet anybody again. It doesn't need a smile, a kind word, or encouragement. And when we look out for one another, genuinely, we will find that we come together as a country. Might have a lot of guests on this show in the future, but none has a greater story than Frank D. Murphy, formerly incarcerated youth who rose to play in the NFL. He's founded many different organizations to help the young and impoverished. Frank's life story is told in his book, The Man Behind the Helmet, or The God of Second Chances. Frank was given a second chance through the NFL and Coach Tony Dungy. He's had tremendous success. He was a junior college All-American. He won the Heisman Trophy for the junior college. He was inducted into the Junior College Hall of Fame. In 2017, President Barack Obama gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2022, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award. He is a motivational speaker, a lifetime coach, and he's lectured over 100,000 people. He's absolutely tremendous individual who has accomplished so much at a young age, Frank D. Murphy. So, Frank, when we start out here, tell us about your journey from youth. Were you arrested for selling drugs? It looked like you might spend the rest of your life, but life's a matter of choices. You changed the choice you made. Tell us about the journey from incarceration to the NFL.
Well, thank you, Coach. It's an honor, first of all, to be on here with you. I couldn't even repeat the resume that I would be reading for you with the Hall of Fame coaching job that you have done throughout your career. Thank you so much for having me on. Man, the journey was a journey of fake ID. Coach, I tapped into a fake ID. A fake ID is a picture of you, but everything on there a lie.
So much happening there, man. It makes me more hungry to keep doing what I'm doing. Keep teaching young people, young men and women that get incarcerated, or help them before they get incarcerated to put down their fake ID. And not only put down their fake ID, but how to pick up their real ID. How to make sure their purpose don't go to the graveyard. You know what? I told him, I said, listen, only you can put definition behind your name. Your family, your friends, your coaches, your mom, your dad can help you. They can assist you, but only you can put purpose behind your name. Only you can put definition behind your name. Only you can do that.
And where I'm from, and everybody got their story, you don't make it past 15. So I live my life not thinking I'm gonna live past the age of 15. Where I'm from, the streets overrule the guardian or the parents that you may have. If the streets say killed, the streets say robbed, the streets say sell drugs, that was more louder than any parent and guardian that was in the house. My journey was a journey of bad decisions, not because I wanted to make them, because I didn't know any other. I had no other choice, at least in my little mind. At the age of 11, 12 years old, my mom just started letting me go outside, and I got bullied. That's the word we use now. And from that point, I took the fake ID and said, no one will ever touch me again, come up against me again, or try to hurt me again. From that day, I tapped into my fake ID and started carrying firearms, started hanging around the wrong crowd, started selling drugs. And it wasn't long, by the age of 15, I found myself incarcerated in the Duval County Jail down in Jacksonville, Florida, facing at least 5 to 10 years. And when I walked through that jail cell, it definitely wasn't a locker room. It wasn't a locker room. It was a jail cell that smelled like stink socks, paint peeling off the wall. And the question that I asked myself, what am I doing here? And being in that incarceration changed me. It made me into a person that I never wanted to become, but the only person at that time I could become to try to defend myself from the bad decisions that I made. From that day forward, I went to work out, and I never forget that moment. They told us, let's go to the gym. And I went to the gym, the yard, and it was a coach up there in the booth that they have come out. I never noticed this before. So everybody left, and they told me to stay back. And the coach looked me in the eye and said, man, I don't know what you in here for, but if you ever get out of here, I would love to offer you a scholarship at our private school. You have the talent to be an NBA or NFL player. Coach, nobody ever told me that before. That was the first time I heard something encouraging of my 15 years, that I can be something other than what the streets in my neighborhood told me. I went back to my cell. I started doing push-ups every day, sit-ups every day, squatting the mat. And the people in there was like, "What you doing, Frank?" I say, "Man, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna go to the NFL." They say, "Boy, you in jail? You're not going to no NFL?" I say, "Yes, I am." I believed in those words that coach said that watched me play inside the yard. That changed my life. And from that point, I was able to go to trial, and I won trial, and I got out, went back to high school. I had 1 year left, and I made All-American, MVP offensive player, and runner-up to Mr. Florida with that 1 year. But I didn't have the grades, so I went on to junior college. The first junior college I went to was Itawamba Community College in Mississippi. And when I got there, the residue followed me, because I ended up getting in trouble again. I ended up doing the same thing I did before, getting around the wrong crowd, selling drugs, carrying firearms, thinking that's the way I got to defend myself if somebody try to hurt me. The coach called my mom and say, "This guy's a great athlete, but there's no way he can stay at our school. We're kicking him out." And my mom was on the phone. She started crying. And she said, "Coach, if you send him home, he won't be alive. He'll be dead. Can you please find somewhere else for him to go?" And that coach called a school in Kansas, Garden City, Kansas Community College. And that coach said, "I'll take him out. I'll give him a chance." On the way to Garden City Community College on the bus, I'm thinking to myself, I can't get in trouble. Frank, you got to make good decisions. When I got there, it wasn't long before the residue showed up again, Coach. I found myself incarcerated doing the same thing. This time I'm facing 10 years. And as I was in that cell, I got in the shower and I began to cry because, you can't see the tears. You're trying to act tough. So I got in the shower and I can cry. And I'm like, God, I don't know what else to do with my life. I don't have no help. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what's wrong with me. Can somebody help me? And that's what I was crying out for. I got bonded out and I went to the president's office of the college, and the president said, listen, you will never touch this football field again, but you can at least get your education because, we can't kick you out because you haven't been found guilty. You waiting on trial. She said, you got an 0.2 grade point average. Can you try to work on that? I brought my grade point average up to 3.2. I began to walk from the dorms every day this same particular way because no coach would talk to me. No students would talk to me. I had no friends because I was all over the news. This one day I heard a voice say, I heard a voice say, young man. And I turned around. I'm like, who is that? Because nobody ever speak to me or talk to me. And it was a janitor. And she said, young man, it's a light over your head. God told me to tell you you're going to change the world. And I started laughing. I say, lady, if you knew me, you wouldn't be talking to me like everybody else. And I don't know what you mean by change the world. She say, and if you play any sports, God say you're going to turn the team around. And I say, lady, the coaches don't even speak to me. They told me I'll never touch the field again. So I started to walk off and she said, young man, I'm just telling you what God say. Can you hang with me today or tomorrow? I said, I ain't got no other friends. I guess I can. She took me to church, coach. And not only that, she took me to her house and prayed with me, and then begin the life coach me and tell me what's wrong with me and the anger inside and what I needed to correct and things of that nature. I'd never been mentored in my life. It wasn't a big time coach. It wasn't a big time player. It was a janitor.
I'll never forget myself walking down the hall. Wow. And it was this janitor. And she said, young man, every time I see you, I see a light shining on you. You're going to change the world. And I said, what? She don't even know who I am. And I'm like, if she knew what I've been into and the trouble I'm in, she wouldn't say that. She said, young man, will you hang out with me? Will you go to church with me and this and that? I say, sure, I might as well. Nobody else don't talk to me on campus or the coaches don't talk to me no more. And I went to church with her. I hung out with her. And then before you know it, I went to trial and I won trial. Wow. So fast forward, I go back to the coach and now I'm back playing again. She mentored me. She took me under her wings and said, I see a diamond in you. And look at me now. Right. The thing she said is actually happening because she believed in me. If I can do it, you can do it. You have to forgive. And you first have to forgive yourself or you'll never forget.
And from that day, my life changed. I went to trial and they found me not guilty. And I went back to play and I said, hey, I won trial. I got good grades. Can I at least try out for the team? They said, Frank, we already got an All-American running back. You can go ahead and transfer. He rushed for 2,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. So we really don't need you. I said, but you said I can try out, coach. Just give me a chance. And he said, okay, when you come back from the summer, you can try out. It's getting ready to be summer. Coach, I went home and I got that call from my neighborhood friends. And they started to say, Frank, you need some money. Frank, I said, no, I'm going to go get a job. I got a job for the first time in a warehouse. And I printed out a Florida State workout book. And I followed it to the T every day all summer to the point I almost died, coach. I cramped from the top of my head down to my toes. And the ambulance rushed me to get IV in my body. I almost died if it could have been longer because I was cramping all over. That's how hard I worked. That's how much I wanted it when I got back to that school. And I got back to Garden City. And I took the school to a national championship. I won the position. I won the Heisman Trophy in junior college. I got inducted to the Junior College Hall of Fame. And that's not because of me. It was because of the grace of God. It's because God had a plan for me that I didn't even know. Miss Cheryl, the janitor, played a great part in making sure that my journey got to this place. And I'm thankful for that.
Frank, the one thing that you illustrate, which I really believe in, what makes this country great, the culture, is caring about other people. In your story, which is so motivational to me, there are other people, the teacher, the coaches, different people like that believed in you. But going from junior college All-American to the NFL. I know what it's like in the NFL. You come out of that locker room for the first time in a game and you're on that field. What went through your mind?
I was in a daze. I was emotional because I only dream of being in a place like this, Coach. When you behind bars, you ask yourself what bars are holding you back. And to come from behind bars to get an opportunity to play out my long life dream. And when, Coach, I was standing in front of the scouts, the NFL combine, they have, come up. They had a guy come up before me, and they make you take your clothes off. They want to see, tattoos. They want to see if you're in shape, if you got any injuries. And they was looking at the guy like, man, look good. And I'm standing in the background like, man, I look better than that guy. I know they gonna like me. And I get up there, Coach, and they didn't say anything. They kept looking up and down. I'm like, what's going on? They was looking at my resume. They was looking at my past mistakes. They was looking at my record. And it crushed me when the scout said, man, I don't know if we can draft somebody like you. And the rest of the scouts was in agreement. And I went home, and my mom said, you ready for the draft, son? I said, I don't know if they really like me like that, Mom. She said, son, what God got for you, no man can take it away. Get ready for the draft. And I do this drill called the mirror drill. Whenever somebody say something negative or hate on you or say something to put you down, I went in the mirror and I began to talk to myself. I say, Frank, you come too far. You work too hard. You never gave up. You will be drafted. See, the mirror is not just to reflect what you see, it's to correct what you see as well. I began to correct the way my face was frowned up, and I began to smile because I knew what my mama said. I would get an opportunity and not an obligation. And the opportunity to play in the NFL was one of the greatest moments of my life, because a lot of people think the NFL stands for not for long. I say the NFL stands for necessary fundamental learning, because it taught me a lot. How was your journey to the NFL? And I tell them it was more than just a journey. It was an educational class. It taught me how to be responsible. The journey to the NFL taught me how to make better decisions. It taught me how to put myself in a different position to be successful. When you take a journey is not something that's going to be easy. A journey is going to be hard. A journey is going to require you to dig deep into your well. That's what I had to do.
Well, that's really amazing. But listening to your story, Frank, the one thing that comes obvious is your faith in God has played a very strong role in your success.
Yeah, Coach, when it comes to my faith in God, I had to find out how to have faith for myself, because my mom installed that in me and would pray for me. So I was riding my mama faith. And at some point I had to get Frank D. Murphy faith. I had to know God for myself. And where I really began to know God for myself is when things started to happen to me over and over. You should be like, well, Frank, enough stuff happened to you. You should have been know God was on your side. But no, as I got older, I began, like right after I got drafted, Coach, I celebrated my draft. I was on the way home and somebody followed me, 2 men, 2 gunmen. And they put 2 guns to my head, and I thought I was dead. I thought, like, God, you brought me this far to get drafted, and just like this, this over. And I know those guys probably wanted to kill me. I can feel the energy, but God protected me. And stuff like that began to happen. I began to understand God got a plan for me. He got a purpose for me. I just have to find out who to be with. So I had to find out who to hang with, who will help me find my life. And I say this all the time. In Colossians 3:3, the Bible says your life, your purpose is with Jesus, hidden in God. And I wanted to see my life so bad, Coach, but I kept coming with the wrong person. I kept coming with the wrong crowd, the wrong role model. I kept coming thinking, oh, my coach, because he got a big time name, or my friend because he's on TV. And I kept getting denied to see my real life that's in God. But when I came with Jesus, when I really started to understand Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and he's going to be here with me no matter what, when I come with him, I get full access to God, in God, to see my life. I begin to see my life. I would say, man, I'm seeing a new person, like I'm a role model. I see that, man, now I'm a mentor. Now I'm a life coach. Now I'm an author. Now I'm a speaker. I start to see all these things come to fruition because I was with the right person. So I always ask athletes, who you with? Who you with? If you say Jesus Christ, you got it. You're going to see your real life.
You really subscribe to many things that I believe most of my life. First of all, I would tell our athletes, God doesn't make junk. Now, God put you here, he doesn't make junk. He didn't put you on this earth to be average. He put you on this earth to be the very best you can possibly be, and he gave us talents and abilities. And not everybody has your athletic talent, but maybe they have the ability to speak. Maybe they have the ability to invent things, whatever else the case may be. But I also believe this, Frank, life's a matter of choices. Wherever you are, good or bad, because choices you make. You made bad choices earlier in your life, but fortunately, you had a mother, you had an individual that cared about you, that taught you the value of making good choices, and you did that. But you also, your story, Frank, you had second and third chances going through there. And how have you used these second and third chances to change not only your life, but the lives of other people? An individual told me this many years ago, Frank. I don't care how much money you make. When you die, that ends. But your most important obligation is to be a good husband and a good father. And I know the difference you've made in people's lives. How'd you take that second chance, and how you help and influence other people as well, Frank? Your story is incredible. Not only what you achieved, but what you've done with your success to help other people. Talk about that, please.
Yes, sir. When I felt like God gave me a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance, and I was so appreciative. And I never forget the day that I was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Coach Dungy brought me on the team, and he called me in the office, and we were sitting there, and he kept looking at me, and he said, I'm just sitting there like, okay, is he gonna say something? He said, man, Frank, I didn't give you this second chance. He said, God did. And that stuck with me, because now I didn't put nobody else in God's place. So I understood that I had to go out and give other people help from my second chance. I was with the Miami Dolphins, and I'll never forget, we always have a room by ourselves the night before the game, but they accidentally overbooked the hotel. So we had the room with one of our teammates. Everybody had the room. I didn't like that. I was upset because I didn't want a room the night before the game. I wanted to do my rituals. I wanted to be in the room by myself, talk to myself, act like I'm catching touchdowns. I get in the room, and he also take the bed that I like. I like the bed against the wall. So I'm getting more aggravated. So I'm taking the stuff out my suitcase, and I noticed he kept looking at me. So I finally said, hey, man, you okay? I see you keep looking at me. You okay? He said, how did you do it, Frank? I say, how did I do what? Excuse me, what are you talking about? He said, I read articles about you. I talked to people about you. And man, I need your help. And I say, need my help? He said, yeah, Frank, I'm on cocaine every day. Frank, can you please help me? And I broke down, Coach, because I was mad about having a roommate, but God was doing a divine connection, a divine relationship for me to mentor and help this man with a second chance, like he gave me. And I mentored this man, and about a month later, his kids ran up to me, his wife ran up to me and hugged me and cried. That let me know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be giving back and mentoring the next generation of athletes.
Well, it's my son said to me all the time, you want to make God laugh, you tell him what your plans are. Just put your faith in God, and he'll take you in the appropriate direction you want to go. But talk about some of the organization you have, Frank. And I know you've had other people that have been incarcerated and have gone on to be successful, but the difference you've made them in life. How do you make that difference? How do you take somebody who's down on his luck, things aren't going well, doesn't believe in themselves, and you have no chance to succeed if you don't believe in yourself? How do you get those people to change?
I first try to get them to trust me, Coach, and be as sincere as possible, and let them know I'm coming as real as possible. Once they understand who I am and that I'm a person of character and integrity, and I do my best every day to live this life right, they begin to open up, and I tell them to empty the cup. You can't bring your past into your presence, because it's going to destroy your future. You understand that very well, Coach, because if I get out there and drop a ball, you don't want me to take that same mentality to the next play, because I'll keep dropping it. So I begin to tell them, listen, don't bring your past mistakes into your presence and destroy your future. I want you to empty your cup, because you may have speculation, bad opinions, bad experiences in your cup. And I can't get the truth in if you don't empty it. So I asked them to empty their cup. After I asked them to empty their cup, coach, I tell them you have to get in the right position. And the position that I'm asking you to get in got to be a position of you making good decisions. I'll give you an example. I'll never forget being in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Peyton Manning, Hall of Fame quarterback, called me and said, Frank, can you come to the field and play catch? I'm trying to, just do a little catching in the off season. I say, sure, I'll be there in like 10 minutes. He said, are you in shape? Because I got another quarterback. I say, cool, I'm in shape. You can bring whoever you want. I get to the field. I walk out there as Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, two of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. And after they was going to get done throwing, they was going golfing. So I got on the field, and Peyton, I noticed something about Peyton. Peyton say, Frank, if you in that position right there, not to the right, not to the left, not 2 yards deep or 2 yards short, but if you get right in that position, I'm going to hit you every time. Now, Tom was a little different. Tom just said, get in the area. And he a gunslinger. So I every time Peyton threw that ball, coach, and I was in the right position, I caught the ball. Every time I was a little bit to the left or to the right, the ball will fall short, I'll drop the ball. And see, that's what I tell the players today. If you're not going to get in the right position, how will you ever expect to receive deliverance? How will you ever expect to receive your real ID? That's a picture of you, but everything on there is true. How you expect to receive your blessing? Because God could be throwing the blessing that you could just be out of position. So I tell them, if you get in the right position, put down your fake ID, you will always have an opportunity to be successful. That's some of the things that I teach, coach, with life skills. That's some of the things I try to push upon them so it can make a difference in their life.
You bring out so many things that I truly believe in. I always said happiness is nothing more than having a poor memory. If you can't remember what happened yesterday, you feel real good about yourself. It's when we worry all the time as things go along. But Frank, this is really, I hope I don't put you on the spot, but it intrigued me when I looked at everything about you. You were part of a Democratic administration, and yet you have left and come over to the other side. This isn't about being Democrat, about being Republican. What we're talking about is the culture of a country and the culture of the people, where we try to do the right thing, we do everything the best of our ability, we obey the laws, etc., and we genuinely care about other people. What caused you to leave? Because that's not an easy decision to make, particularly when you're on the end with the people who are in power.
You know what, coach? It's almost like being in the NFL. When you play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you study that playbook so you can perform. But if the coach start telling you the wrong type of plays to run, you're going to start looking other places. And I felt like that the plays that I was beginning to run wasn't plays that line up with my values, that didn't line up with what I believe. Didn't line up what I had faith in all these years, and I experienced for myself that God is real. And some of the things that God put inside my heart to do was not lining up with that team. So I began to get another playbook. As I searched for another playbook, I had no idea what team I would be on. I didn't even know if I would be on a team. I didn't even know if I'd be accepted to a team, coach. But I was willing to not get weary and tired in my well-doing. Eventually, coach, I found myself fatiguing. The word fatiguing means, I always said this, fatiguing to make a coward of us all. Fatiguing is just no more than just you getting tired and weary. And coward just means losing courage. I began to lose courage, coach. That this America could be the America that I once knew it to be, and I always knew it could even be greater. That I never wanted to stop, but I know I couldn't go backwards. I seen a lot of stuff going backwards. So I began to now tap into something that I call the graveyard. And I realized that I didn't want my purpose to go to the graveyard, coach, because if my purpose go to the graveyard, I just cheated, not just myself, I cheated the next generation. I would cheat people that look just like me and need a voice. I would cheat those who cry out for help. And yes, I was on the other side on the wrong team and I couldn't hear them. Well, coach, I'm here today to tell you that I'm on the right team. And the reason why I'm on the right team, because it's a God team. It ain't a perfect team. Because there's no perfect It's no perfect on any team. You know that by us coaching, you coaching and me playing football. But I tell you what, our desires are the same. Our hope is the same. Our mission is the same. And that's one thing I was looking for.
Well, that's the one thing that unites everybody is we have the same purpose, and that is to satisfy God's desire and reason we're here. But I got to tell you, nothing speaks volumes about your character and your integrity larger than the fact that you're willing to leave an organization because of the values. Too many people look at the finances and the prestige. You did it based on things you believe, etc. That's admirable. What else would you like to tell these people before we wrap up this podcast?
Make sure, you guys, that you're not sold on fantasy. See, fan is short for fantasy. And I remember playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was standing back for a kick return, and I was so excited. The fans was loud. I couldn't even hear myself think. And when I caught that kick return and took it back for a touchdown, I couldn't hear nothing. But I noticed something, you guys. I hurt my ankle. And they put another kick return back there, and the crowd was just as loud. And I say, hold on. What are y'all doing? It's not me. But I noticed something, Coach, because they was living a fantasy through me. And they just lived the fantasy of whoever they put back there. And I'm here to tell you today, as you seek your purpose and seek the right team and seek the right playbook, make sure that you don't let nobody live a fantasy through you. And that's one thing that I had to come to realization. I can't let nobody live a fantasy through me. I have to make sure that it's real, that it's authentic, that it's fulfilling the perfect will of God for my life and for the people who look up to me. I don't have a gender, Coach, and I don't have a color. What I have is a heart Amen. To give back to the next generation, because that's what God had for me.
I tell you, listening to you talk, Frank, how in the world did you ever get a 0.2 average? Because you're very, very intelligent. You speak exceptionally well. And I got to tell you, I wish I could have coached you. I wish you were on my team. Had I had the opportunity to coach you, I might have ended up in the Hall of Fame. But be that as it may, Frank, when I say to you, I'd love to have just hugged you after a game, win, lose, or draw. Because the only friends you have in this world when things don't go well are those you eat with, sleep with, bleed with, pray with, and cry with. And that's your family and your teammates. And great players come and go. Great teammates last a lifetime. And obviously, you've been a great teammate for many, many years. So, Frank, I can't thank you enough. I wish I could pay you to do this, but we don't have a budget. But thank you for coming on. God bless you. This country needs more people like you. When we talk about the culture, let's make sure we follow the rules and regulations of the country. Let's do everything the best we can, including young students. Let's make sure we care about other people. And no, you're never going to meet anybody again that doesn't need a smile, a kind word, an encouragement, and a lift up. And wherever we are, because other people helped us. Your case and mine. Thank you so much, and I have the greatest respect for you. You ever need anything, you call me, then you call 911. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Coach. God bless.
Yes, thank you.
And he walks away after winning his 100th game as the head coach here at Notre Dame.
The reason I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I was born in this country. It isn't what you have, it's what you're taught about the values of life.
We trying to save souls.
So there's a rule of life that you're either growing or you're dying. And like an old friend once said, we as Americans need to start winning again.
Everyone should ask this question. Am I willing to endure the pain and the suffering and the sacrifice it takes to be a champion?